Yo. Welcome to another episode of your favorite podcast, Wrestling with the Homies. I'm the homie Qwan, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend, Sylvan LeQ.
Yeah.
Sylvan the Don, young Sylvan, and my boy, Cooley. Cooley just sitting there like,
yeah.
What up, man? How y'all feeling? It's been a fun week. It's been a fun week, you know. Getting some nice feedback on the podcast. I'm enjoying it. A lot has happened since we last talked.
I don't know. It's been a slave week for me.
What you mean?
Let
us know. Let's talk about it. You been working hard?
Nah, just work. Just work. Just work.
Hey, he said like Rihanna, work. Fellas, a lot has gone down since we last spoke. A lot has gone down. Drake dropped the album. For all his dogs. Is it for the dogs or is it for the dogs? For the other dogs? I don't know.
It's too soon to tell.
Okay, I'll give you that. It did just drop like 4 hours ago. We also had
4 hours ago, man.
6 a.m.
Right. 6 a.m. is crazy. That's a crazy time to drop an album. But we also had some debuts. Some big debuts. Cause look, fellas, my vision was a little hazy. Like recently I've been walking outside and things have been a little blurry. I couldn't really see, but on this day, I see clearly. You see what I did there? You see what I did? You know what I'm saying? On this day, I see. Y'all got that. Got that. Mm-hmm. That's right. Edge, the rated R superstar, Edge. He's all elite. But before we get into that, I just want to ask y'all a question because somebody asked me this recently. What exactly are we trying to accomplish with this podcast? Somebody asked me that at work, actually, and it threw me off. And I'm like, yo, that's a good question. What am I trying to accomplish with this podcast? You know what? I think with this podcast, I want to make the wrestling space cool. I want to bring cool to the wrestling space because I feel like a lot of people don't like to admit that they're wrestling fans. They don't like to talk about it openly and freely. But look, we here to let y'all know that it's okay to be a wrestling fan. You can rep that, say it with your chest. You're a wrestling fan. You love this wrestling thing, and I want to inspire other people to do the same, man. Do the same. We all love the same thing. It's okay to rep that. You ain't got to hide it. You ain't got to keep it off to the side. You can rep that freely. How y'all feel about that, man? What y'all want to accomplish with this podcast? Somebody tell me.
Yeah, that was dope.
I was feeling sentimental today. I just want to let
y'all
know
Just to piggyback off what Qwan said. Yeah, just to piggyback off what Qwan said, I feel like it's not a lot of us in this space, and I feel like us creating this podcast is bringing a lot of us together, and it's going to put our faces more out of there because people are ashamed or too nervous to say they're wrestling fans. And homies like us, we don't care. We've been down with this since day one, and we want you guys to enjoy it as well. And that's, the ultimate goal at the end of the day.
Like, let's just be honest. A lot of people are embarrassed about wrestling. A lot of people are embarrassed to admit that they like wrestling because they see it as, this is a scripted sport that I watch every week. I don't really want to talk about that freely out loud, but it's like, yo, be yourself, man. You love it, because we love it. I love it. Sylvan, what do you want to accomplish with this podcast, my brother?
I mean, besides bringing the young black jigginess to wrestling, you know what I mean? Because that's really one of my top priorities with this. So I fully feel y'all. Like wrestling's cool, man. But it ain't jiggy. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like what we do and the style that we have and the culture and the taste that we are bringing to this space is really important. But on a more biased notion, when it comes down to rap specifically, yeah, because I'm a rapper, on a more biased perspective, I'm a rapper. So like, I hear the references in rap. I see the people who love wrestling and rap. You know what I mean? But like, it doesn't feel like it's still fully embraced. It kind of feels like when it comes down to wrestling, there's certain rappers who talk about it. There's certain people who are fans of it, and that's their thing. And I'm like, nah, bro, this is a way of life. And so my one of my biggest goals is to bring wrestling, is to really infuse wrestling into like the rap sphere, kind of like the way sports is, right? That's why I really love what, shouts to Cam and Mace, man, because
It is what it
they're
is.
really taking their notoriety as they're taking their notoriety as rappers and becoming sports personalities and saying, nah, we're about to infuse this. Like, we all know majority of rappers love sports, but it's undeniable now. Like, you got a whole platform for that in the rap community. So even if you're not really into sports, if you into hip hop, you're gonna tune in. So that's what I want from this. It's like, even if you're not into wrestling, you know what I mean? If you into rap, you into some jigginess, you're gonna tune in because it's just that cool. And maybe we could bring some people who tuned out, back into the sport just because of how we rock, man. So
Right,
yeah,
right,
that's me
right,
in a
right.
nutshell.
Hey, I feel
It's a
you
good
on that.
question, Qwan. I appreciate that, man. That's a
Hey,
good
that's what I'm here to do, baby. That's what I'm
Good
here
question.
to do. That's what I'm here to do. And I like that we're not an echo chamber. We all got our own opinions on what this wrestling thing should be. So we're going to come on this podcast and we're going to debate, we're going to fight, we're going to argue, and then we're going to laugh and move on because it's supposed to be fun, man. It's wrestling. It's wrestling at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? But let's get into our first topic because like I said, when we first began the podcast, I'm seeing very clearly these days. I'm seeing clearly. So is the rest of the world because Edge, the rated R superstar Edge, is all elite. Fellas, this is a huge deal. This is the biggest signing since CM Punk.
Whoa.
I would even go as far as saying that this is a bigger signing than CM Punk. This is Edge. This is a current Hall of Famer. This is Edge. He's going to bring some much-needed star power to that roster. This is a guy with 2 million followers on Instagram. I think this makes him immediately the biggest star in AEW. He has a very good mind for the business, but most importantly, he's a veteran presence. And we all know AEW definitely needed a veteran presence in that locker room because let's just be honest. AEW's locker room been feeling a little amateur lately. We had guys taking shots at each other in the media. We had guys getting into fights in the locker room. I can guarantee you Edge ain't going to be taking no part in any of that. But, fellas, there's a small component in this that I feel like a lot of people seem to be missing. I think this could have some major implications in not only AEW's locker room, but WWE's locker room as well. Now, look, hear me out. We all know Edge is a Hall of Famer. He returned at Royal Rumble a couple years ago, and he set wrestling on fire. He even main evented a WrestleMania at one point. But for the last couple years in WWE, Edge ain't been doing a whole lot. Actually, I take that back. He has been doing a whole lot. He's been doing a whole lot of nothing. He's been doing a whole lot of nothing.
Whoa.
When you really look at the last couple years of Edge's careers in WWE, outside of an on and off feud with the Judgment Day, he did a whole lot of nothing. And when I look down WWE's roster, I see a lot of edges, brother. I see a lot of edges. Let's look at Sheamus. Sheamus is a future Hall of Famer.
Crash it out, man.
Former world champion. Chill. But look, Sheamus is a future Hall of Famer, a former world champion. But recently, Sheamus has been doing a whole lot of nothing outside of a on and off feud with Gunther. He's done a whole lot of nothing. AJ Styles. This is a future Hall of Famer again, former world heavyweight champion.
Man. Come on.
You look at what AJ Styles has been doing recently in WWE. He's had on and off feuds with Karrion Kross, but outside of that, he's done a whole lot of nothing. Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, The New Day, one of my favorite tag teams of all time. The New Day. These guys have sold more merch than most people in this industry. This is a future Hall of Fame tag team. They've won the multiple tag team championships. But outside of a on and off feud with the Viking Raiders, what have they done recently? That's right, a whole lot of nothing. Now, look, the list goes on and on. Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, Jinder Mahal. As you go down this list of WWE superstars, it's pretty clear that the former world champions of the old guard are being phased out in favor of the newer talent. And I understand it. I get it. We got to build towards the future. If I'm WWE, I'm doing the same thing. I'm building towards the LA Knights and the Austin Theories. I'm building towards the Pretty Deadlies and the Gunther. But the thing is, I feel like a lot of these old former champions still have a lot to offer the wrestling business. So I'm not saying that these guys are going to follow Edge's lead and leave WWE for AEW, but I'm also not saying they not. I'm just saying Edge could be the first domino and a lot of former champions that show up in AEW. Now, there are a lot of people out there upset about Edge's departure. There's a lot of people out there in Edge's comments calling him a turncoat, saying he turned his back on WWE. They're saying that he sold out.
Yikes.
Fellas,
Really?
first off, go out there.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's happening.
know
It's
that.
happening. It's happening. There's no room for that. Go
That's
outside,
crazy.
touch grass, and realize that it's sports entertainment. It's not that deep. But I do want to say that I personally think it's dope that a second major company exists where a guy. I just want to say this is pro wrestling. This is sports entertainment. So calm down. Get out of Edge's comments. Stop calling him a turncoat. It's not that serious. But I just want to say I do think that it's very dope that, you know, a second promotion does exist out there where a guy like Edge, who have achieved all he can achieve in WWE, can go across the street and start the second wind of his career. That's dope. So I want to say shout out to AEW for landing a huge signing, huge signing. And I want to say shout out to Edge for being brave enough to go to an entirely new promotion at 50 years old and start a second win of his career. That's dope. So I think this is huge. I think this is really good for wrestling. I'm not mad at it. Jay Cooley, tell me, are you seeing clearly on this day?
Oh my God. Hey, listen. I'm on his comments right now.
Yeah, I just went on his comments.
Yo.
Yo, Cooley, I just went on his comments, yo.
Yo, you lost my respect,
This
Edge.
is crazy.
Oh my God. Yo,
Yeah.
Qwan, this is crazy. You not lying,
This is
brother.
kind of insane.
Yo, you not lying, man. I mean, it's time. You know, it's time to bring these young folks in, you know. We got the signing of Jade. I feel like more people is gonna come towards WWE while the old people go towards AEW. I mean, it's clear that it's happening. It's clear. I can see clearly now. The rain's gone.
Sylvan, tell me
Hey,
something.
man, it's happening.
Are you
That's
seeing
crazy.
clearly?
If age-
Are you here with us? You seeing clearly?
I mean, yeah, why not? Go over there and have a great time, bro. Like, look, Edge is at the tail end of his career, man. Go and retire with your best friend and have that, you know, feud with him. That will be pretty amazing. I'm already seeing the seeds being dropped. It's pretty amazing. I'm tuned in. We're gonna have a great time. Have the retirement match, feud with a few other people. Maybe have one more Edge and Christian run. Face the Hardys. Face the Young Bucks. Face FTR. Like, do it all. I mean, why not? The guy has been with WWE for how long? 20 years at this point?
27.
25.
20 years? 25 years?
Oh, I thought it
Like,
was
why
27.
not? Go, like, bro, there's nothing else for you to do at
Sheesh.
WWE, quite honestly. I mean, nothing else, in my opinion, that would be interesting for you, right? Somebody of your stature, there's nothing else at WWE. Go to AEW, man. And quite honestly, there is nothing. I mean, look, this guy's been best friends with Christian for 40 years. You know what I mean? 40
Long
years.
time.
The fact that you can go to a company and wrestle with him at the same time, and you guys are kind of virtually on the same level to a certain degree in terms of the notoriety and respect that you both are receiving, it's a great time. So I wish you the best, Edge. I'm really happy for you. It's wild looking at those comments because I did not see those comments. People were saying you sold out. It's kind of wild. That's very
Yes.
insane to have. That's nuts. Like, y'all are insane. I saw a comment on there that was like, I guess money means more to you. I'm like, you clearly, whoever you are, I don't know who you are, but you clearly don't know how this thing
This
works.
is crazy.
Clearly don't know how this thing works. So shouts to you, Edge, man. Have a good time. I'm tuned in. I'm very tuned in, and you know I'm tuned in. I love this story already. This is what I want to see.
And listen, I've been seeing these narratives that Christian has always been better than Edge because Christian is hot right now. Don't get me wrong. Christian is hot. He's killing it with this heel character. But I'm starting to see the narrative that people are saying Christian has always been hotter than Edge. Stop. This is recency bias. That's not true. We all know when Edge was the rated R superstar, when he was out there having live sex celebrations with Lita, Edge was the biggest scumbag in wrestling, which was a good thing. He was my favorite heel. He was one of the best heels of all time. So Let's not try to wash that away to show love to Christian. We can show love to Christian and still have love for Edge, my brothers.
I think Christian just had bad booking, man. Like, especially being in WWE. Like, the way he was moving was his heel work was very amateurish. It was very bratty. It's nothing compared to what he was doing in TNA and what he's doing now.
TNA Christian was insane, man.
Insanity, you know.
Insane.
I felt like WWE just didn't see that in him. So,
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah, man. Shouts to you, Christian. I'm having fun.
Shout out Christian, man.
Right. Before we get off Edge's triumphant return, though, I do want to touch something that Cooley mentioned, because Cooley said something that resonated. He said that WWE is signing the young guys away from AEW, which, I mean, we just saw WWE sign Jade Cargill. They also signed Brian Pillman Jr., and it's looking like guys like Ricky Starks are probably on the way as well. But AEW signing the old guys away from WWE, you know, the Bryan Danielsons, the Edges. Are we watching history repeat itself? Because, I mean, at one point, I remember when WWE was signing the Chris Jerichos of the world while WCW was taking away the Bret Harts and the British Bulldogs. This kind of, it feels a little similar, and we know how that turned out for WCW. I'm just saying.
Yikes.
I mean, what else are they gonna do? What else are they gonna do? I mean, of course, I'm like, it's like, what else are you gonna do, man? Like, I had this conversation with you. I keep having this conversation with y'all. You know, Tony Khan, man, like Tony don't really want to do the real work, man. He don't want to do the real work. He don't want to really super invest into his younger talent. I mean, sure, there's a couple of guys that we like, but when has there been two AEW homegrown stars feuding with one another that has been the top draw in that company in their 5 years of existence?
I mean,
there hasn't been.
It really depends on what you.
Edge. Of course, you sign Edge.
I feel like it really depends on what you consider a homegrown talent, though. It's tough to say that. It's because we did just have the four pillars. I'm serious. We did just have the four pillars feud between Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, MJF, and Ricky Stark. And that's, I mean, not Ricky Stark. Who's the other pillar? MJF, Sammy Guevara.
Who's the other pillar?
Someone's like, point made. Sammy Guevara, MJF,
dang,
Darby Allin. Why am I blanking on the fourth pillar? Why am I blanking?
Yeah, I'll tell you why you're blinking.
Tell me
probably
why.
orange.
Because it wasn't that important. It was okay. It was a good moment for AEW fans, but in terms of like an actual draw, like it's not an actual draw. It's not. Like, it's cool. It was great for the product, but it proves my point. Like, there's not enough investment into the homegrown AEW talent, in my opinion, from Tony Khan. He just keeps relying on these former WWE stars to make the product hot. And, you know, I'm not going to act like a lot of this stuff I'm not watching. I'm watching a lot of it. And I'm very tapped in right now with Christian Cage versus Edge. I just am. You know how I am. You know where I'm at with it. You know, you ain't even gotta. Nobody has to come at me and ask where my side is. I like AEW. I love WWE. It just is what it is. Point blank. Period. But if you want to grow as a company, you gotta get a Goldberg. You know, Ted Turner. I mean, Tony Khan. You know, you gotta get yourself somebody that. You know, I get my names mixed up. You gotta get somebody that's a homegrown talent that can be a draw. That's bigger than any former.
Okay.
WWE
No. I can't
Until
let you do that. I can't let you do that because MJF is literally the current champion.
Edge.
MJF is literally AEW's current champion.
Edge.
That's it. He's homegrown. Did you know MJF before AEW? So we can't we can't just give out this narrative that AEW is only pushing WWE guys. Like, come on now. They've been pushing MJF to death.
I didn't say that. I said I didn't say that. I said all I said was that Tony Khan does not put enough investment into his homegrown talent to be the top draws. MJF is a top draw, but he's not the top draw. I mean, can I? Am I correct? I mean, has he ever been the top draw in the company?
I mean, that's up for debate.
I see. I kind of see what I kind of see what Sylvan talking about. It's like he's not putting his effort into none of his superstars from the ground up. Just like how Jeannie Buss signs, these young talent basketball players, and they don't give them time to grow. They just send them away. It's kind of like that. It's parallel to the same thing, So I mean, I understand what Sylvan going at.
I'll tell you what it is. It's kind of like when Impact Wrestling, they had the Bobby Roode and the AJ Styles, but they were busy pushing the Stings and the Kurt Angles and the Scott Steiners. It kind of gives me shades of that, but at the same time, I do think that AEW is putting a lot in its younger guys. Oh, and the fourth pillar. The reason we forgot about him because he ain't been around in a while. It was Jungle Boy. It was Jack Perry. Jack Perry was the fourth pillar.
Oh my God! What?
No.
I forgot about Jack Perry.
Oh, you forgot about Jack Perry.
Yeah, it's been like a month, right?
Yeah.
Jesus,
it's been a while.
We forgot about the guy. No disrespect.
Yeah.
I like the work. But it's a reason why we don't remember that four pillars engagement because it just wasn't the top draw, man. We're talking about Edge. Before Edge, we were talking about who? CM Punk. Before CM Punk, we were talking about who? Maybe Chris Jericho. Before it's Chris Jericho, we were talking about who? John Moxley. Like these are just after John Moxley, who were we talking
Cody
about?
Rhodes,
Brian Danielson,
Cody Rhodes. Before Cody Rhodes, what? Brian Danielson.
Adam Cole.
After Brian Danielson, it was what? Adam Cole. Keep going. It's like, I'm sorry. Like I just think that I just think that yes, you're gonna keep running into this problem, and you're gonna keep signing veterans and used to be WWE guys and putting them on this pedestal because you don't have the heart to make your homegrown talent the top draw in the company. There's nothing I can do about that. I'm not a booker. I don't know what that entails.
But MJF is champion. MJF is champion. What more can AEW do to push their homegrown talent besides make them the world champion?
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if you bring in an Edge, right, the top guy in the company, right, I understand you're going to put him against Christian as soon as you come in. It makes sense. But you know what I call that? I call that smart booking. I call that smart booking because at the end of the day, that's going to potentially put butts in seats. But if you really wanted to play the long game, you'd find a way to get your champion involved with the top draw that you just signed to your company. But that's not your MO. You know who MJF is wrestling for the title very soon? Do you know
Jay White.
Wrestling
Jay White. You're wrestling Jay White.
Jay White. Now, Jay White, I have no issues with you, my brother. You are probably one of the best wrestlers I have ever seen in my entire life. But when it comes down to it, I want to see Edge versus Christian for the TNT title. I want that.
Hey.
I want to see that. That is my prerogative. Now, is that wrong? No, that's not wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, does it do anything for your homegrown AEW talent? No. And, quite frankly, who cares? I'm sure MJF is going to ride this title wave out and he's going to sign the WWE in 2024 because he already knows what time it is because those AEW title reigns last way too long. And we'll be talking about this again for the next 4 to 5 years. We got about another
way
5
too
years
long
of the AEW worst years of your existence with Tony Khan in business. So, I mean, I'm here to watch it all.
Look,
so we just watching WWE stars.
I personally think that Edge being a part of the company and bringing more eyes to that show is only going to benefit the homegrown talent. But I definitely see what you're saying as far as Edge being put on a pedestal above them. So I guess we'll see how it play out. But I want to hear from you guys. I want to know how you guys feel about Edge being all elite. Was this the right move for Edge? Was this the right move for AEW? Should AEW focus more on their homegrown talent? Let us know something down below in those comments. I want to hear from you guys.
Hey, man, so look. I want to talk about something that's been pressing on my heart. I want to ask y'all a question, man.
Get it all out, brother. Get it all
Y'all ever
out.
dated a girl? Y'all ever dated a girl, man? And you obsessed with her, man. Like she looks great. You know what I mean? She got the she got the fatty. You know what I mean? The breasts is sitting right. Personality is solid to a certain extent. You know what I mean? But at a certain point, man, she starts changing on you, and she just starts becoming more loud and annoying and toxic. And you just get to a point where you like, man, I wanna hold on to her so much, but I know what's best for me is to leave this woman. And so you reluctantly leave behind this woman that you're borderline obsessed with. And you find a new girl, and she kind of looks like your old girl.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yo.
She kind of looks like your old girl. You know what I mean? Like she kind of got a few of her attributes. You know what I mean? But she treats you a little bit better. Actually, she treats you a lot better. But you're a little hesitant to, fully dive in. You know what I'm saying? And then you start letting a lot of that of that of that aggression and anger and pain that you felt in your last relationship allow you to become even more obsessed with this new girl, to the point where you may be squeezing the life out of this relationship a little bit, thinking a little bit too much of her, putting her on a pedestal she probably doesn't deserve to be on. She's feeling a little uncomfortable. Situations like that happen from time to time.
Absolutely, indeed.
This is very, 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 very unfortunate. But it reminds me of a certain relationship with a certain fan of a certain sport. I'm talking to you, AEW Stans.
Oh,
Not fans.
What did we
No, I'm
do
an
to you,
AEW
my brother?
fan. I like.
What did
I
we
like.
do
I
to
like.
you?
I like the. I mean, I'm not a stan of AEW, and I want to make this very clear. I like AEW. I'm a fan
Yeah.
of the product. Now, I'm not a stan of AEW. I'm not a
So
stan,
what's the difference?
but I like the product. The difference between a fan and a stan is clearly mapped out by a rapper named Eminem. Now, a fan is someone who can appreciate a product, appreciate a person, appreciate a genre of music in a very healthy way. I can listen to this song. I can listen to this podcast. I can watch this sport, root for my team, and go about my business, live my life. A stan becomes obsessive. They become enamored. They wake up, they think, eat, breathe, and sleep whoever they are obsessed with or whatever they are obsessed with. AEW Stans, all 20% of you guys, because I know it's not a lot. There's a lot of AEW fans. I'm not talking to the 80% of the AEW fans, me included. I'm talking to you 20%ers. Let me clear my throat. It's time to have a spiritual awakening. It's time to realize who you really are. You're not AEW stans. You are disgruntled ex-WWE stans.
Wow.
It's highly unfortunate to see. Let me repeat
Wow.
that. You are not AEW stans.
Hey, yo.
You are disgruntled ex-WWE stans. You don't really care about the 30-minute competitive matches with zero to no payoff due to no storylines. You don't really care about that. You don't. You're just really heartbroken. And you found something. You found an alternative product that's really near and dear to you. Because the last product you used to watch really broke your heart. You're really just angry because your favorite wrestling company betrayed you at some point. And you had to leave. You had to say, I can't watch you anymore. And you were really upset. And you started finding other alternative products. You dated around. You watch New Japan here and there. You watch TNA, you know. You watched a few indie shows, you know. But then you found AEW, and you're like, wow. Kind of reminds me of this one company I used to rock with, except they're really wrestling again. And they have a few of the characters that used to be on the old show. Does it sound familiar to the reference that I was bringing in? You found a new girlfriend. And instead of deciding to like it healthily, you said, I'm going to obsess over it. And I'm going to compare it to everything that my last girlfriend did. And believe me, I know. I get it. I started watching wrestling when I was 7 years old, bro. 7 years old. I remember the Attitude Era. I remember the Ruthless Aggression Era. Not perfect, but it was really good. We had some great matches, some great times. But at a certain point, it started betraying us. Vince McMahon was sniffing a lot of cocaine, wearing do-rags, putting Cena on the highest of all highest mountains. Nobody could win, and when they did win, it didn't really feel like a win.
Nope.
It got cheesy, repetitive, and you had to make the hard decision to leave. To say, I'm not going to do this anymore. I have too much self-respect. AEW Stans. The truth is, you hate WWE more than you like AEW. I will repeat, you hate WWE more than you like AEW. And how could you not? It was your first love. It was the first thing that you ever became enamored with, and you couldn't really get over it. Not because you got broken up with, but because you had to do the breaking up. You had to stand up for yourself and say, this isn't working out for me anymore. I'm going to bring back my relationship comparison. Now, you know, when you become obsessed with a new love, right? You know what starts happening when you move on? I'm going to quote Drake. And then when you leave her, that's when she popped back up. She starts doing things that kind of seem like, oh, maybe you're getting it together. Maybe you're starting to change your ways a little bit. Maybe you're starting to do things differently. That's WWE. You see what's happening now. You see that people are starting to tune back into the product a little bit more because the booking is starting to improve a little bit. You have this reluctancy, but you keep clenching on because you were so hurt before. You hated that despite how unappealing WWE became, they still made money. Your biggest feud, AEW Stans, with your company, AEW, is with two former WWE superstars. Your biggest stars are former WWE superstars. The biggest draws in AEW history are former WWE superstars. The press conference announcing WWE couldn't lean on a Kenny Omega. It couldn't lean on the Young Bucks. No. You needed a Cody Rhodes. You needed a Chris Jericho. You don't have a healthy relationship with your new girlfriend, AEW Stans. You don't. You don't at all. And I'm here to let you know that it's okay. It's okay because the reality is that you're not really even an AEW stan. You're just a heartbroken ex-WWE's fan. And I empathize with you. Please understand that this Edge signing is okay. It's good for business. But a lot of y'all were hating on Edge for the last 3 years. And now you guys are opening up your arms opening up yourself with open arms to him. And the reason of that is because you're still heartbroken. Pause. Big pause. Big pause. Giant pause. But the reason is it's only because you're still heartbroken. And I wish eternal healing to you, AEW Stans. This is not healthy. So hopefully this enlightenment will allow you to understand your relationship with the new product that you decided to clamor to. That is my TED Talk. I'm out of here. Brothers, give me some insight. Am I wrong? I already know Qwan going. I already
I'm
know.
gonna be honest with you.
You
I'm
know,
gonna be
you
honest.
know where Quan headed.
Qwan, man.
I'm gonna be honest. You're not entirely wrong because let's just face it. Every AEW fan had to start somewhere. Most AEW fans they didn't start
Facts.
watching wrestling 4 years ago. At some point, they were watching WWE, and what you're describing to me sounds like a lot of resentment. We've all had resentment towards WWE at one point because our favorites weren't being pushed. We've had resentment because we saw guys that we loved get done so dirty that it made us not want to watch the product again. So when a new company was on the horizon, you saw a lot of diehard fans overnight. AEW had diehard fans before they ever even had a show. The minute that company was announced, there were people out there getting AEW tattoos and like really calling themselves their number one fan.
Yeah,
And it's
man.
like, how are you the number one fan of a company that hasn't even had a show yet? So very clearly, you're not wrong in that saying that a lot of, AEW's biggest fans are just disgruntled ex WWE fans. But I think that you are overplaying just how many of those people actually exist. Because I think there's a huge overlap. I think there's a huge overlap of AEW and WWE fans, and I'm proof of it because I love AEW. Y'all know I love AEW, but I also love WWE. And when Collision is doing the numbers that they usually do, and there's a WWE pay-per-view or a premium live event on, you see a lot of that Collision audience disappear because they're watching the WWE premium live event. That right there is proof in the pudding that there's an overlap in the fan base. There are AEW fans that love WWE and there are WWE fans that love AEW. It's not just all people who just, we all hate WWE because we watch the AEW. That's not the case. But like I said, you're not wrong. That there are a lot of ex disgruntled WWE fans that they lean towards that AEW way. It is what it is. That's life. WWE was the only promotion around for like
That's life,
40
baby.
years, so it's like, what can you do?
That's life, baby. I feel like two
Just saying.
companies can coexist at the same time. It kind of reminds me of how the talks about Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole, can they exist or not? And then there's ex Big Sean fans trying to come, somewhere new. Damn, who can I go? Who can I go with? Huh?
Wow.
Kendrick, J. Cole? I don't know, but they all like each other at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? But I do agree with Sylvan when he says most of the stands are ex fans because I admit I fell off WWE around I want to say 09 or 2010 because it was just the same product. It got watered down. It wasn't what I loved anymore. So I took a break from it. But there wasn't another company I can go on to because TNA was declining as well. So it was a lot going on, man. But yeah, AEW came. They set they foot down. And it's been great to me. I like both. So I'm in between.
I also want to say that I started out at one point with AEW as a potential stan. So
Yes,
I want to let you
I witnessed this. I was
20% of those
That's a
AEW
fact.
stands know
That's a
that
fact.
the reason I can speak to this is because that was me. I remember hating WWE, bro. I couldn't let it go. And AEW gave me hope. I was like, you know what? This might be something I can clamor to. I could potentially become an AEW stan. And those first 2 years, 2019 to 2021, I got to see, bro. I always say it. Qwan, Cooley, we were in Vegas. We were in Vegas for a WWE event when we watched CM Punk debut at AEW. We were like, yo, this is a changing of the guard.
Yeah.
So I was one of those guys. You know what I mean? But I quickly realized that as soon as WWE started booking fire stuff, I was right back where I came from. I'm a fickle man. I don't have you. I don't. It is what it is. I am fickle about a lot of things in life. There are certain things I am loyal to. It's very, very, very specific things, and I can count them on my hands. But the rest of life, fickle. What did Daniel Bryan say? Fickle. He was talking about me.
Fickle.
I went back to where I came from. A lot of you AEW stans are just in denial. You're like me, except you can't admit it. I can admit it to myself. You know what I'm saying? I'm a messed up kind of guy sometimes. You know what I mean? I'm on the spectrum a little bit when it comes to this wrestling stuff. Y'all just don't want to admit it and set yourself free. You don't have to chain yourself to this company. It's okay. We're all hurt. That's all I'm saying.
Look, to me, I feel like it's very easy to decipher between the AEW fans and the AEW stans. Because an AEW fan will be happy that Adam Cole and MJF is headlining the biggest show of all time, quote unquote. But an AEW stan, they'll go the extra mile to say, oh, Adam Cole, when he was in WWE, they wanted him to be a manager and they didn't believe in him. But look at him now. And it's like, why do we even have to go that far? Why can't we just appreciate what they're doing now? Why do we have to make this unnecessary comparison to what they were doing back then? And I feel like that's an easy way to decipher between an AEW fan and an AEW super stan. But at the end of the day, it's Lakers and Clippers to me. It's Lakers and Clippers. Most Clipper fans are really just ex-Laker fans or super Laker haters. They hate the Lakers more than they love the Clippers. If they had the choice between the Clippers winning the championship versus the Lakers never winning a championship, they would probably choose the Lakers never winning a championship because they're bigger Laker haters than they are Clipper fans. Now, of course, there are some Clipper fans out there who really just grew up with the Clippers and they love the Clippers. But for the most part, that's just a whole lot of Laker haters over there, brother. It's life. It's life.
I want them to get healing, man. Get some healing, bro. Because I was like y'all. I was messed up in the game. You know, mourning over my ex-girlfriend, obsessing over my new girlfriend. And now look at me. I can enjoy both.
But look, we want to hear from the audience, man.
I feel like I was gonna say I feel like these stands are just mostly on the internet though. They ain't out here in real life, man. Like I go to these shows, I see both kind of fans. You know, I see AEW shirts at WWE events. You know, we chopping it up. I don't see none of these stands in real life, man. It's all the internet. It's like that South Park meme.
And that's the thing. Like when I encounter wrestling fans at these events in real life, it's not so combative and aggressive. Like wrestling fans are the sweetest people in the world. They're all embracing each other and it's a fun time. But then when we get home and when we're online, it turns into something else. It turns into something else. And I don't really understand why that's the case, but I think that this is just what it is. I don't think we're ever going to be able to exist in a space that's not like this. This is just what the wrestling community is going to be. I don't know. I really don't know why, but hey, I want to hear from y'all, man. How do y'all feel about AEW's super fans and AEW super stans? Is there a difference between a WWE hater and an AEW fan, or are they the same thing? Because Sylvan seems to believe there is no difference. I think there's otherwise. I think that, WWE.
I didn't say that. I just said,
implied it.
AEW stands. I didn't say fans. There's fans, but I'm talking to the AEW stands. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, man. Like, the stands, the 20% of the AEW appreciators. I don't know, man. I'm talking to them. I'm not talking about the person who can watch the product, enjoy it, love it, keep it pushing. I'm talking about the stands who swear by AEW and hate everything else. That's a stand, Nicki Minaj got stands, man. If you ain't aligned with Nicki Minaj, if you ain't aligned with the Barbs and you ain't on Nicki's good side, everything else is terrible. Everybody else sucks. Everything else doesn't exist. And there's a lot of stands like that for AEW, man.
Yeah. But like I said, let us
Same.
know something below, man. Is there a difference? Are AEW fans, AEW stands, are they the same? Are they different? Let us know how you feel about the situation. And if you an AEW stan, let us know that too, because I ain't got no problem with y'all. I'm an AEW fan, so shout out to AEW. Edge is here. I know my brother Sylvan is low key heard about it, but it is what it is. Now, let's switch gears. Let's switch gears to NXT. Let's switch gears to NXT because a couple months back there was a Cody Rhodes documentary, and in that documentary, everybody's favorite creative, Triple H, he mentioned that nobody wanted to be a champion in a secondary promotion. That's what he called it. He called AEW a secondary promotion because WWE doesn't see AEW as competition, right? Like why would WWE see AEW as competition?
Yeah, right.
AEW is not competition. But next week, AEW Dynamite is airing on Tuesday, the very same day that NXT airs. And you know what WWE is doing on that Tuesday? You know what WWE is doing to counter Edge's debut match in AEW? They loaded up the show with John Cena, Cody Rhodes, Paul Heyman, and Asuka. That's right. The company that WWE does not see as competition is being combated against right now. WWE is very clearly loading up this show to counter AEW. I want to know, is WWE playing fair or is this some bullshit? Somebody tell me something.
I've been saying this for months, maybe even a year. WWE is Jay-Z. AEW is Nas. Every time Nas trying to drop, Jay gonna do something petty. He's going to do something petty. And now look what we have here. WWE being petty. Now, why would they do that? Why would they do that?
Because they
When the
clearly
last
see
time we
AEW
seen
as competition.
a superstar as big as Cody? Of course. When the last time we seen a big superstar like Cody on NXT? Like when, bro? Like what are we talking about? Come on, man. It's clearly
Cena
competition.
John Cena, for the first time ever, is appearing on NXT magically on the very same day that AEW was airing head to head with NXT. John Cena is appearing over there. Cooley.
Like,
come on now.
come on, man.
Are you telling me that WWE doesn't
Come
see
on, man.
AEW as competition? Are you still standing by that, Sylvan? Because this counter programming definitely seems like it sends a whole different message. Just saying.
Yeah.
Yo, what were the ratings for AEW Dynamite this week?
A cool little 800. Know what I'm saying? Yeah.
That's like
Dynamite 800,000.
Yeah, man. I'm just really curious. What were NXT's ratings this week? I
They
forget.
did like
It was
a
like
cool
an extra
little
60,000 on
826.
800.
Yeah, 826, something like that.
826. Wasn't Edge's debut this week?
No. That was Edge cutting a promo. This
No,
is different.
wasn't
Next
on-
week there is Edge versus Luchasaurus. He's
that was
actually
his
wrestling
AE
in a match.
that was his-
He's wrestling.
That was like his AE.
He's
that was
wrestling.
his AEW Dynamite appearance. That was his debut Dynamite appearance, right? Like first time ever being on AEW Dynamite was this week, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And NXT still beat them by a cool 20,000.
Nah, it's more than that.
40,000. It's more than that, right, Cooley? Isn't it like 40,000?
60,000.
40,000? 60,000. Cool, 60,000 viewers. Development.
AEW won the
Beat out
important
their
demographic though.
premium,
Let's not forget about that. Let's not forget. I'm not a demos guy. I'm not one of them
Oh,
Dave
yeah.
Meltzer
Yeah,
the
let's
demos,
not,
the
you know.
demos, the
Yeah.
demos. But AEW did outdraw NXT in that demos number. Let's not forget.
I mean, yeah. Everybody got to get a participation reward. So, I mean, I definitely, let's not forget about, the good job award. Yeah. I mean, what are we talking about? What are we talking about?
We're talking about a company.
What are we talking about?
We're talking about a
What
company.
did? Ooh, what are we talking about, Qwan?
We're talking about a company claiming that they don't see another company as competition. Meanwhile, loading up their show on the same night that this other show was airing directly to take fans away from that company. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'd do the same thing if I was WWE, because why would I want people to watch that? But I would admit it. I wouldn't pretend like I don't see them. I would call it like it is. Yeah, I'm loading up the show because your show is competitive against mine and I want to win that night.
Okay. All right. So let's break this down. Now, when we're talking about confrontation, right? Because there's a difference between being competitive and having a confrontation. This is not competition. This is a confrontation being handled in a very, very succinct, slightly competitive way. I'll break this down for both of you brothers in this chat. Now, as far as I'm concerned, AEW Dynamite is going to be on Tuesday next week.
Yep.
Who made that decision? Tony Khan, right?
Yep.
Who else?
They sent that straight. They said, you know what? Yeah. And we going to kill y'all NXT on Tuesday program event. WWE is responding, saying, no, you're not. Let me break this down, what this is really like. It's like when a young 50 Cent in 1999 did How to Rob. A young, hungry MC coming onto the scene, been working the underground for a while. This is the entire industry. But more specifically, this is one of the hottest rappers in the game, Jay-Z, says, what Jigga just sold, like 4 million, got something to live for. You know what I mean? Jay's like, oh, all right, cool. You want to send a shot? That's fine. Cool. I'm going to send one back at you. Now, you're not really competition, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on you. I'm just going to shout your name out at Summer Jam and embarrass you. I'm about $1. What the? It's 50
It's 50
cents.
Cent.
I'm going to embarrass you. I'm going to spank you a little bit. You know what I mean? That's what this is. Oh, you wanna act like y'all can do something? Like y'all can really touch us? Like y'all can really rock with us? Don't be disrespectful. We're gonna put you in your place. It's no difference than having a drug dealer and having your strip, being the biggest drug dealer on the block, having your strip jumping, and you see the little homies pedaling. You know what I mean? You letting them live, do their little thing. You know what I'm saying? But they know they haven't been on the block as long as you have, and then they start trying to move in on your corner. And you like, oh, all right. Well, now we're gonna have to embarrass you, and then your homies end up getting shot. And you can't do anything about it because you ain't got nothing to do. You ain't got nothing that can go against them. This is what this is. This is not competition. This is, I'm going to spank that ass a little bit. Pause.
Super pause, man.
Pause. Wow.
Yeah,
but that's all this is. Just pure confrontation. We addressing the problem head on. This ain't competition, man.
I'm sorry. It's petty.
You got to be able to win in order to be competitive. You got to have the capacity to be able to beat somebody to be competitive.
This is just pettiness. This is WWE pettiness, and I get it. Like I said, I understand it because I'm petty. I would do the same thing. But if WWE weren't petty, they would just put out NXT, the same NXT they put on TV every week, and not pay AEW no mind. So the fact that they're loading up this show, it tells me that they're aware of what's going on. They see it. They see it because this is the developmental. I know people try to talk about that whole third brand rebranding thing, but no, this is a developmental. This is developmental because when wrestlers get hired with zero experience, they don't show up on Raw. They don't show up on SmackDown. They show up in the PC. They show up on NXT. So this is a developmental show, and it's featuring John Cena, a 30-year veteran. It's featuring Cody Rhodes with an important announcement. What are we doing? It's very obvious that they're loading up this show to counter program AEW, and I'm not mad at it. It makes so much sense. I'm not mad at it. I would just like for people to admit what it is. AEW is doing their thing, and WWE is clearly aware of it, and they trying to rain on their parade. They're not wrong for it. I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just calling it petty.
Bruh, it just sounds like AEW is trying to rain on WWE's parade. They're just like,
What?
oh, we have Edge. We have one of your former biggest wrestlers of all time. It's time for us to be confident enough to get to actually. It's time for AEW to actually be confident enough to play ball. You know how many times I've been like, yo, y'all should just move y'all AEW Dynamite from Wednesdays to Tuesdays and really start competing.
Yeah, facts.
But now that you got a former, WWE champion, oh, now you want to be a big dog. And you know what? I want to address all you IWC fans who are like, oh, well, if WWE doesn't see them as competition, well, this is it all of the time. Let's talk about it for real. If you send me a shot, I'm going to send one back at you. I'm not going to take your shot and be like, oh, yo, that was cool. This ain't fair. Life isn't fair. What did Vince McMahon say on that one famous promo? Life sucks, and then you die. Y'all want fairness. Y'all want fairness in a competitive sport, and y'all want to be competitive with someone that you can't be competitive with. AEW had all this time to go head to head with WWE. Y'all ducked them shots. Y'all knew what time it was. Y'all knew y'all couldn't do it. But now that y'all got Edge, yeah, I'm going to call him Edge. Now that y'all got Edge, y'all feel confident enough to move to Tuesdays. Y'all, you know what y'all sound like? Y'all sound like some suckers. Y'all sound like big fish in a small pond energy. But it makes sense because you're a secondary promotion. And I'm only talking this way to y'all because for some reason, this narrative keeps getting brought up. And I have to defend it. I have to once again be the bearer of bad news. I have to once again say facts. You're delusional. You are seeing things. You are out of your mind. You need to get help. You need to see somebody. You need to think about your life. You need to get therapy. Because for some reason, you think that because you signed a former WWE champion that you can now compete with a 40-year-old billion-dollar company. So you move to Tuesdays to compete with their developmental platform. And you still are going to lose because you can't win. And you know why you're going to lose? Because you lost this week. You lost this week when your client, Edge, I'm going to keep calling him Edge, showed up for his AEW Dynamite debut, and you still lost to NXT. You all need to get some help. I beg of you. Please do not bring this up to me. Do not bring this narrative to the... and you know what? All of you esteemed bloggers, I ain't going to call y'all by names because we ain't big enough to hold our own. But all you esteemed bloggers who perpetuate this narrative, y'all the problem too. Because I already know what time it is with y'all. And we going to keep it at that. But this is a false narrative. There is no competition. That's my TED Talk.
You know what?
All right, man. Sylvan just literally crashed out. Yo.
Hey, why I just crash out like that?
You crashed all the way out, my brother. God damn.
Yeah, hey, look, I went Kanye West, yo.
Oh my God.
To the wire.
Look, I was trying to be devil's advocate because I'm an AEW fan, so I was trying to play devil's advocate. But look, at the end of the day, it's so funny to me. It's so funny to me how the narrative is AEW, the entire company, versus NXT. What about AEW versus the entire WWE? Like, if we're gonna talk about a comparison or a competition, we can't just keep. Like, I'm sorry, AEW fans. I'm on y'all side. I'm an AEW fan. I love AEW. I think AEW is the superior product to WWE most nights. But if we really want to be competitive in this space, we can't just keep putting this entire company versus the least watched WWE brand. At some point, we got to look at those Dynamite numbers and then look at them SmackDown numbers or them Raw numbers. We can't just keep comparing this entire company full of stars against a show whose biggest star is Braun Breaker, Baron Corbin. Like, at some point, we just got to be true with ourselves. Like, Yeah, AEW is in a competitive space with WWE, but like we know what it is. We know what it is. WWE's been around for 40 years. This is a brand new company. We should just be happy that we're even in this space to begin with. We ain't got to talk like we're going to topple the giant because we not. We not. This is David versus Goliath. Just be happy with throwing rocks, man. Like, come on, man. What are we doing?
And with that said, they ain't comparing with SmackDown, Lumber. Come on, man. What are we talking about, man? What is we talking about, man? Let's keep it a beanstalk, yo. What is we talking about, bruh? This is just a developmental brand. That's crazy, man. That's crazy.
Hey, but look, shout out to AEW, man. I still love AEW. I think that we're doing some super dope things. And you know, Edge is here. Adam Copeland is here. So hopefully he can get us to that next level. This is the perfect person to fill the void that CM Punk left. But we know what it is. CM Punk is about to show up in WWE, and then it's gonna be hell all over again. So let's just enjoy this moment while we got it. Because I don't know how long it's gonna last. I don't. But shout out to Edge, shout out to AEW.
Listen. Let me say something real quick, man. Let me say something real quick. If CM Punk shows up at Survivor Series, I'm going crazy because I tweeted this the day he got fired. I'm just saying. I'm the new guy now. You know what I'm saying? I can't wait. I cannot wait. That's all I'm gonna say.
As much as I didn't want to see CM Punk, or as much that I claimed that I didn't want to see CM Punk, fellas, I think I want to see CM Punk. I gotta admit, I want to see CM Punk in WWE. It makes too much sense. It makes too much sense, and it looks like that's. Dave Meltzer is reporting that they're in talks. It looks like this might be going down. And you know what? As much as I hate to say it, I'm strapped in. What battle rapper is that? I'm strapped in. Because that's me right now. I'm strapped in. Is that Twerk? New Jersey Twerk? New Jersey Twerk?
Yeah, it's Twerk. Yeah, it's Twerk.
Yeah. I'm strapped in. Pause that Twerk, by the way.
Though.
Strapped in.
That's strapped in and Twerk. That's
pause.
Both pause. Big
Yeah.
pause. Big pause.
Yeah.
Big pause.
That's crazy.
But
yeah,
I want to hear from y'all, my brothers. Let me know, is AEW competition to WWE, or is it just it is what it is? And you know, WWE is the big dog, and they can't be challenged. Let us know below if you want to scream at us, because you probably do. I'm sure the AEW stands are going to scream at us for this. Hey, get all them screams out. We still love you, my brothers. Now,